Peace, family. I hope this message reaches as many people as humanly possible. I'm fasting again, and while fasting, I get different revelations, I get different divine inclinations, and just truths revealed to me about the world. It's very meditative, and what I just realized today, waking up, is there is no home in America for Black people. There is no real place here for us or for us to be. And I'll explain why that is. So I grew up in a Democratic community. I went to school with a lot of very progressive liberals, and I use those terms differently for a reason. I joined a fraternity with many conservatives, and over the past month or so, I've been able to look at the Black Conservative page, been following Candace Owens' page, and just kind of seeing, excuse me, I'm still very tired, being able to see the political ideology here. For about 3 to 5 years now, I've been championing the idea that we need a third party. We already have 4-party. We don't have a 2-party system in America. We actually have a 4-party system right now. We also have the Green Party, and we have the Libertarians, and we have the Independent Party. So we have 5 parties, technically. There is no home here for us. On the one side, you have Democrats. You have Democrats that have opposed everything and have proposed things that are either they're against the progression of Black people, they're against Black people not being dependent upon American government. And this is this is weird to me, but God gave me the revelation is, how do you be friends with somebody? You know, you have a lot of white Democrats friends with Black people, and they make Black people gay. They make Black people subservient. And your relationship, your friendship is built upon almost a self-identity and self-acceptance of inferiority, and them talking about their privilege as white people. So either white privilege doesn't exist, or Black inferiority doesn't exist, because you can't have one without the other. To say white people are privileged, or to say that Black people are disadvantaged. And I don't believe that you can have any genuine friendship based off of that. I believe you just have your enemies keeping you very close by. A lot of them are also atheists. A lot of them are also Satanists. So those aren't real allies for the children of Israel to have. Children of Israel really shouldn't be buddy-buddy in psychological subservience to satanic white people, On the other side, you have the Republican Party, you have the conservatives, and while they have championed many things, the anti-slavery party, as people like to call it, as they did champion many things, they're also highly associated with the Confederacy, even though I personally know the Confederacy was made out of Democrats and Republicans, likewise with the Union. Those were both bipartisan efforts to support and to end slavery. They just kind of masked themselves in that. White people made peace. White people stopped going to war. They stopped killing each other's children. And then they took all that violence, all the anger out on us for years on end. So we're dealing with a Cold War in America, a cold Civil War in America. How can there be justifiable shootings when murder is wrong? Why is it that we have this fetish not only for Black bodies, for Black sex, for Black labor, but now we have an American fetish for Black death? We have a fetish for Black death. We have a fetish for seeing dead Black bodies on our Instagram feed, on our Facebook feed, mainly being posted by white children claiming to be your ally. If you're my ally, why are you showing me dead black people? If you're my ally, why are you talking about a system of oppression, talking about a system of police brutality? And then on the other side, the opposition is saying that, no, we're not racist. No, we're not hunting down, like, we're not specifically targeting black people. But black people just happen to keep getting murdered because we believe black people are criminals. You know, what I see in America is that there is never a time in which white people could allow blacks to simply live. Even in this modern time and modern day, you have the hip-hop culture movement, and then you have rhythm and pop coming up shortly after. And with the rhythm and pop movement, rhythm and poetry movement, you had a group of men get together in order to once again ask, how can we control black people? Basically, I feel the question that they had to ask themselves was, how do we get black people back into slavery as soon as possible? So you have those of us who don't fit the hip-hop rap culture image, who, I don't know, it seems like as if many of us are invisible or get a pass or something because we're not mentioned in their statistics, we're not mentioned within their mindset, and they try very hard to make many of us honorary white people. On the other hand, many of us feel the need to fit into a kind of subservient redneck culture, and not subservient to whites, but just subservient to the dominant power structure within itself. Or we become narcissistic capitalists. But there's no place in America for a black person to be black anymore. Even within your own communities, you have many people who have been systematically, you can say oppressed, but I don't think oppressed is the right word. I feel like they've been systematically brainwashed. I feel like many white people have been systematically brainwashed to believe that there's something redeemable about them. I believe that many black people have been systematically brainwashed to believe that their deaths are always justifiable. It's very startling in this country because there's a deeper root. I've gotten to talk to some older white people about it. I've gotten to talk to some older black people about it. And they seem to have this conception that while it's always been like this, it's never quite been like it is now in 2020. While I don't think there was any filler before. I don't think there was any confusion about what they were doing. I don't think there was any real, besides them hiding themselves physically, I believe the intentions of what they were doing were very blatant. So you had the ability to outright avoid it or to find some way to overcome it. But you didn't have the option to ignore it like you do now. Now, as white people, as black people collectively, we get to ignore the suffering of other humans while having it blatantly within our face. We get to lie and say that these things aren't racist attacks because it's justifiable because they're criminals. Last time I checked, this country already needed major prison or industrial reform. Last time that I checked, this country already needed major reform with how it viewed black people. And it seems like the American culture keeps attempting to find a way, like an abusive spouse, of doing the most minimum amount of progress, the most minimum amount of change possible, and then going right back to how things used to be. This country is going to fall apart from the inside out. That's already known. This country is going to fall like Rome has fallen. It's already known. But what's going to come up from the ashes isn't going to be this multicultural, beautiful movement, because the people that are orchestrating the fall and the people that are hoping on the fall of America are neo-Nazis. They're people, and the groups are exactly the same to me. I don't see any difference between them. You either have the Boogaloo movement who wants a civil war, or you have Antifa who wants a coup d'etat, which is also a civil war. It's just white people being white people, excuse me for that. It really is just white people being white people. this violence, this anger, this hatred, this constant seek to murder, to destroy, to hurt people without any form of actual policy change or personality change or self-development whatsoever. And if you notice, the people that aren't really affected by this are sadly people within groups like MLM culture, because it is kind of meritocracy based, because they're making a lot of money from black people and from Latinos already. But because it's really built upon high energy, it's really built upon being positive. It's really built upon not being negged out, not ending, not going inside yourself for self-defeat. And you have to do a lot to overcome who you are as a person and succeed in those fields. Another old right man said that the issue is sin. He said that racism, and I've heard many people say this, and I agree with that perspective as well, is that racism is demonic. Racism is not only sinful, racism is a spirit. It's a spirit. These people are demonically possessed. These people open doors wide open in their lives for demons. They open doors wide open in their lives for spirits because they have no real religious basis. And I'm not talking about going through the motions. I'm talking about relationship with God, but having discipline within that relationship with God, as you would have discipline with your spouse. But many people don't even do that anymore. They don't have any discipline with their spouse. We live in a very weird world here. We live in a world that isn't really suitable for human beings to begin with, let alone being suitable for black people. The entire American culture needs to change. There are no justifiable shootings. Period. Cops need to be treated just as regular people. They need to be held to the same standard and the same laws as regular people are. And if not, it is a good thing that a cop goes to jail for murder. It is a good thing that a cop goes on trial for murder, because they are human. We don't select these people. We do not hire these people. And oftentimes, for many of us, we don't ask for cops to be in position of power. So if they want to walk off and find something else to do, that is wonderful, and that is their prerogative. They don't get to complain that they can't murder black people anymore. They don't get to complain that they don't get to abuse their power anymore. They don't get to complain that the rules apply to them because their fathers and their grandfathers ignored the fact that they were human for years on end while doing the dirty work of rich white people. There is no home here for us in America. Because everywhere you go, if you decide to move your family to the suburbs for a better life because you're upper middle class and black, they will still judge you and demean you because these people aren't aware that the majority of black people live well above working class. The majority of black people do not live in poverty. The majority of black people live very well-to-do, very nice lives here in America. But we are psychologically, and this is the psyop, truly and honestly, manipulated to believe in black inferiority, black disenfranchisement, and that black lives don't matter. So this isn't a walk-away video, quite honestly, but it is a walk-away video. It's a walk-away from democracy. It's a walk away from the republic. It's a walk away from white culture within itself. And it's a walk away in general from just how these people think on a daily basis. We're the younger generation. So if you're 35 and under right now, we have to live with this forever. Many of you white people have black friends, black best friends. You can't live another decade of your life lost in this lie. Young black men, young black women, you have to turn off your television. You have to turn off, and if you watch TV, fine. But I'm sorry, but you have to turn off hip-hop culture for at least 5 to 10 years because it isn't something that, it doesn't represent black reality. It doesn't represent what it's like to be black in America. It does not represent anything that we are going through. Period. I'm really sorry to just give you that message. It represents where they want us to go. So that's just my divine revelation. I'm gonna figure out where I stand politically in ideology from this point now. But just having tried really hard to find a solution, I thought the solution was going to be the Republican Party. I realized that many of these Republicans, while in yesteryear, in 1854, maybe moving to the 1930s, right before the Great Depression, many of these white Republicans might have been our friends, might have been our allies, might have been in deep support for us. Now, many of these white people are very brainwashed and disillusioned and disconnected, and they really think that black people are all criminals. They really think that black people are all poor, and they really think that black people are still inferior to white people. Even if they won't directly say it to you, if you listen to how they describe black people dying, how they describe Black Death, how they describe the prison industrial complex, it's on the borderline of, I don't want to think about this, even though it's the reality for millions of people in this country that are being arrested innocently, that are being murdered innocently, and I just can't process within my mind innocent people dying. The cops can't be doing that, but they are doing that. The cops are very inefficient. They really only seem capable to bully people. They don't seem capable to win a fair fight. They don't seem capable of any actual resistance. You know, you see people being arrested and having their heads slammed to the ground after they're in handcuffs. You have to be a coward to do something like that. Jocko Willink was saying that cops only train for about 2 hours for the whole year. Maybe 2 to 5 hours for the whole year. While to go overseas, to get deployed, you train for 18 months for a 6-month deployment. You train about 3 times the amount of time you're going to be gone. So I really got to figure it out within myself. But right now, the Democratic Party isn't for us. The Republican Party isn't for us. And we really need something new in this country. So that's my piece.